Talk show.
Recorded live.
Memoirs of a Very Sheltered Young Girl by Vernadeau. Our nanny, my parents used to call her our governess, used to take very good care of my little brother and I. She especially doted over me. A typical morning went something like this. Now, sit still. Don't fidget so much. Let's comb our little curls. My, we're a bit feisty this morning, aren't we? Now, let's put on our little shoes. Stand up straight now. Be a good little girl. Let's put a big, happy smile on our face. The world hates frowners. Be still. Hold still. There's a little hem hanging out of your dress. Let me take care of that. Now, don't twist and turn so much. Stand still. I think your mommy let you have too many sweets last night. You're so feisty this morning. Now be a good girl and march right down those stairs to the breakfast. See there, your little brother already has his shoes tied. My, now, let's hurry. Your breakfast will get cold. Little ladies mustn't tarry and be late. We must always be on time. Gotta learn to hustle a little, missy. Let's go. My, now. Now we really must do something with that outfit. Your father is making a very important speech, and you would dare to wear that? It's not every day that a girl's father runs for governor. No. My, do you want the whole world to think we're nothing but a little tramp? Now march back into your room and put on something decent. If your father loses this election, it'll be on your shoulders, little missy. And hurry. The chauffeur is waiting. You know he has a family, too. A wife and kids. If we're late for your father's speech, the chauffeur could get fired. That way it would be all your fault if his kids go hungry and he ends up standing in the unemployment line. All because a certain little Miss Fancy Pants couldn't get dressed appropriately on time for the most important speech in her father's life. When I was a teenager, about to go to high school dance, Miss Himplesheimer again cautioned me. Young men have filthy, dirty minds, and are only after one thing, little lady. They care nothing for you nor your dignity, and if you give up your precious virginity to one of them, they'll be bragging about it to their friends before the dawn even breaks. I should certainly hope you think more of yourself than to be a fleeting source of pleasure for one of those womanizers. Think of the scandal it would bring to your honorable father if you gave in to one of them. And trust me, missy, their minds only run on one thing when they're your age. And you, my little lady, barely more than a child yourself, are scarcely capable of raising a child should the unthinkable occur. So, my dear, if you absolutely must prance about in a den of sin tonight, I trust you will keep your passions under restraint and let those wolves know in no uncertain terms to keep their filthy hands off of you. A typical breakfast. Our governess, Miss Himplesheimer, presided over the most important meal of the day, hovering over my little brother and I to make sure we got off to a good start each day. Now eat your crepe Suzette, little lady. It took spent time and effort fixing that for you, not for you to just dawdle with it and look at it. My, your little brother is gobbling his up while you just sit there and play with yours. Your father works long and hard to put good food on the table, and you, little missy, do not seem to appreciate it. Pick up that fork and make your father proud. Do you want the other girls in kindergarten to think you're anorexic? Eat, my child, eat. Do you want to stunt your growth and have the teachers and the other children thinking you're malnourished? Now, there are children all over the world doing without a decent breakfast, and you, in your ingratitude and arrogance, would just let yours go to waste. Eat it, my child, eat it. Dinner time. Miss Himplesheimer was always adamant about the evening meal. She would come to my room and tell me, well, little lady, have you no sense of shame? Your father works daily battling important issues and fickle public opinion and comes home to a daughter who can't even bother to be on time for dinner. Your little brother is already changed out of his school clothes, but I see you're still sprawled on your bed reading those trashy romance novels and listening to those hard rock records. Why on earth your parents allow you to pollute your mind with such garbage is beyond me. But the least you could do is get dressed and be on time for dinner with a father who worships the ground upon which you stand. A father, I might add, who would be sorely disappointed if he realized the amount of time his little girl wastes on her torrid fantasy life. Homework? Ha! What a laugh. You haven't even cracked a book. Well, young lady, the homework now simply will have to wait until after dinner. I will not have a child of which I am in charge insulting her father by being late for dinner. Were all of your thoughts not so totally self-centered, you'd greet him at the door with a little curtsy and a great big kiss on his cheek. But we know that gratitude is a concept alien to your young mind, now don't we? Getting ready for church. Miss Simplesheimer always made sure my brother and I were dressed and ready for church services on Sunday morning. Just take a look at yourself, little lady. Would you enter the house of the Lord looking like that? God forbid. I should certainly think not. Now get back in there and get your hair combed. Take off that worldly makeup. Wear a dress more befitting of a decent young lady. And for goodness sake, stand up straight. Look at your little brother, all dressed up like an upstanding young man holding his head proud and high. He has nothing to be ashamed of. You, on the other hand, little missy, straddle the fine line of bringing reproach to your family with your blatant worldliness. Remind me to have your father sit you down and have a long talk with you, my child. Character building. As keen as Miss Simplesheimer was in recognizing the many areas in which I was remiss, she immediately recognized my little brother's fine qualities. My, aren't we an upright, outstanding young man, well-dressed and holding his head and shoulders high? Your father should be so proud. Perhaps one day you will grow up to be the exemplary model that your father is for all of us. Your sister would do well to follow your example and straighten her little act up. And such a sharp mind and a good student. You don't have your nose buried in the trashy fiction your sister seems obsessed with. Instead, you spend your time improving your mind with great literature, as any young man with hopes for a future certainly should. Driving about town. Simplesheimer often accompanied my little brother and I in the limousine whenever we went out about town to shop, visit the library, etc. While the chauffeur attended to the driving, Miss Simplesheimer attended to warning us and educating us about the big, wide world around us. We were at a stoplight once, and there were some scantily dressed girls standing on the corner. Miss Simplesheimer pointed them out to us and pronounced, "Is that what you want to grow up to be, little lady?" From the poor choices in clothing that you make, one might easily draw that conclusion. Utter contempt on your part for your breeding and the dignity that one would should reflect when it comes to concealing her body. Now, your little brother is always dressed like the perfect gentleman and acts the part as well. He will grow into a scholar and a statesman just like his father, while you, my dear, unless some things change drastically in your attitude and demeanor, will end up peddling your flesh on the street like those white trash whores. Then, once when we were in the grocery store, Miss Simplesheimer pointed at some children in obviously used, worn clothing and told me, "That's how a certain segment of the world is condemned to live, my child, while you were born with a silver spoon in your mouth and lacked sense enough to be grateful for it and appreciate it. While hungry children are diving into dumpsters for rotting morsels, you turn your nose up at the delightful meals the cook prepares. Ingratitude is not becoming of a young lady, but I'm afraid it defines you all too well. I fear that if I open up a dictionary to the word, your face might very well be staring back at me." Miss Simplesheimer never missed an opportunity to lecture my little brother and I. My, now, young lady, when I was a girl growing up, I had to wash my own clothes and hang them out to dry. You, my dear, have a maid who does that for you with the nicest appliances available. Make your own bed? Ha, that's a laugh. You've been pampered and waited on hand and foot, and it will come as a mighty rude awakening should you ever be forced to face the real world on your own. Work? You don't know the definition of the word. You've never lifted a hand to do anything. I suppose you're afraid you might break a nail. Your little brother, on the other hand, eagerly follows the gardener around and helps him dig holes and do chores. He's mastered the use of his shovel, while you have your nose and your mind buried in those trashy romance novels. I certainly can't see how you hope to ever amount to anything unless your goal in life is simply to hang on to your father's coattails and live off his name and fortune. My, now. Now, as an adult, looking back on Miss Himplesheimer, I suppose sometimes I do miss her. Of course, my brother and I get tired of hearing her constantly rant and criticize me. She's been gone now for several years. Of course, from time to time, my little brother and I do go visit her. She had no family, no known relatives. It seems only appropriate that we walk together down to the rose bush beneath which she is buried. Our dear father wondered why she disappeared so abruptly. Little brother helped me clean up the blood after I whacked her in the head with a candlestick. Our dear maid was off that day, but she's dutifully polished that candlestick hundreds of times since then. And little brother and I smile knowingly at each other when we see her polishing it. The gardener was so absolutely thrilled to see where little brother had taken the initiative all on his own to plant a rose bush. And my, how it's grown since he planted it. I must surmise that Miss Himplesheimer has provided very rich fertilizer for the rose bush to thrive and prosper. Now.